Just like many of you homeowners and potential homeowners, the only thing that keeps me up at night, other than the crippling fear of the Llorona that my mom decided to tell me when I was 5 years old, like I don't know what in her right mind thought it was a good idea to tell that story to me, is the housing market completely collapsing and we losing potential value in our home. As terrifying as a story as that sounds, I have an even more terrifying story to tell you today. Let's pretend you bought a house, or you have already bought a house, and let's just envision what happens if the housing market crashes. Now, once we're done telling you this story, I'm going to tell an even spookier story, and no, it doesn't include the Llorona. Let's say you purchased a beautiful $400,000 house, basic 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and maybe you didn't overpay for it, but let's just say you bought it around fair market value. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is a housing market collapse doesn't just happen immediately. It's a very slow and painful death. For example, in 2008, we can see here on this chart that Q1 2007 was what appeared to be the tip top, and the absolute bottom was around Q1 of 2009. So you're not just going to be walking around in your underwear and be like, oh God, the value just dropped in our house suddenly. It's going to be a very slow, painful year, maybe year and a half. What you'll start seeing is you'll start seeing houses go up for sale and maybe not be able to sell until maybe many months, or you'll start seeing a lot of foreclosures. Because the one thing that people really need to remember, as we're here wishing for the downfall of the housing market for homes to be more affordable, there's a lot of negativity that comes with a housing market crash. For example, the economy shed approximately 8.7 million jobs during this period. American households lost an estimated $16.4 trillion in net worth, and we saw approximately 3.8 million foreclosure filings just in 2010 alone. I just want to remind you guys, as we wish for the downfall or crash, we're wishing for more than that. There's a lot of things that will happen. So because of this, you also might be noticing some other things, like maybe there's some family members or potentially yourself losing jobs. You'll start seeing a lot more foreclosures. So a lot of neighbors that maybe don't appear to be struggling will suddenly foreclose on their house, and maybe you just won't see them, or you'll see a foreclosure listing on their house. So you won't really see or know that your house lost value unless you specifically talk to someone and say, hey, I want to sell my house. And then they pull up comparables, or they pull up what the value of your house is, or maybe you're going to refinance and they send an appraiser out there to verify the value of your house. Now in this example, we're going to assume that you're in a fixed rate mortgage. And we're going to assume you put yourself in a decent situation where the monthly mortgage makes up about 25 to about 35% of your net income. What you will actually see, as long as you keep your job and you continue making the monthly payments on time, is you'll see your taxes go down, because if values go down, the assessed property value of the neighborhood and the cities and the houses will also go down. So if anything, you might see your mortgage payments slightly dip because the tax values will go down. It's kind of like that scene from Community when he walks in and there's like a fire and everyone's just going crazy. If you have that box of pizzas and you're just in the hallway, it's like you just living your life, paying your bills. If you ever say, I think I want to sell my house, or you're put in a position where you're forced to sell it, then that's you opening the door into the freaking disaster. So really, the way I think about it, there's 3 ways that you would really be affected by something like this. One is your job is somehow tied to the housing market or economy, and you lose your job and you're not able to pay your bill no more, and you're put in a position where you have to sell. But it's not just obvious ones like, real estate related or construction related. Several fields like manufacturing, retail, financial services, leisure, and hospitality could potentially be affected by this economic downturn. So if you're somehow connected to the real estate market in some way, this could be really concerning, because your stability can just be completely broken, and really it doesn't matter if the market's crashing or not. You're just going to be put in a position where you have to dip into your financial savings, or you're going to have to find another job that just won't pay well, and you can now no longer keep your house. The second is you didn't buy a house with a fixed rate mortgage. So if you have an adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM loan, you're going to be finding yourself in a very similar position that a lot of buyers did back in the 2008, the Great Recession, where a lot of people were just on this adjustable teaser rate, and then it just completely ballooned, and now they weren't able to keep up with their payments and they lost their house. I know they're very tempting to go with because they're so low, or they'll say, it's okay, there's a certain caps or whatnot. I don't care. As I said in other videos, I'm a little Latino boy that grew up in the hood filled with trauma. So I'm always going to go with what I can control, and fixed rate is what I can control and I can foresee in the future. So get those those arms are nice now because the rate's low, but give me something fixed, baby. And number 3 is going to be, you bought a house without your budget in mind. For some reason, because things were really good, you bought a house, 45% of your net income, 55% of your net income, and you completely ignored the advice of the 25 to 33% of your net income rule. Maybe you said, oh, I'm fine, I can afford it for now, or my income will go up, or I'll just refinance when rates go down, right? You've heard all these things before. All it takes, my friends, is 1 or 2 bad months. 1 or 2 bad months where you lose your job, or something happens, or maybe you take a job loss, or you're so freaking, you don't know, like I had somebody the other day on my live stream that like they bought a house and 2 days later they like broke their arm and they were in construction and they lost their job within 2 days of buying a house. Life is unpredictable, my friends. There's just no way of knowing what could happen to you. So really, the housing market crash doesn't really scare me as long as I set myself up the right way. Here's an even more scarier story. Now, I'm going to change some things in the story out of protection of privacy and, of course, among other things. So this person purchased a house approximately about a year ago. They purchased it around $400,000. This house originally was a flip. A company purchased this house for like, I don't know, 20, 30K less than what they were selling it for. And of course, they did absolutely nothing. I think maybe they painted the walls or stained not even stained, they painted the cabinets white. So really didn't even do much, but they didn't care. They were happy. They were excited. They didn't watch any videos or get an education. So they just went with what their lender told them they qualified for. They made their mortgage payments for a few months, but things started getting tighter. The air conditioning broke. There started to be a lot more issues with the roofing, and they tried to go after the big company to see if they would, like fix anything. But unfortunately, because that company never lived in the property, there's no way that they could prove that they knew about anything. So basically, it became a wash. They started dipping more into their savings, and lo and behold, that monthly payment started really just squeezing them. And it's with a lot of issues in the marriage, and let's just say they agreed that it wouldn't work out. So they decided to sell, and initially they had good news. Their realtor said, hey, we can probably sell it for 20 or 30K more and see what happens. Well, they've been on the market for 3 months and hasn't sold. They've reduced the price to now under where they bought it for. And right now they're put in a position where they can't even take a lower offer because because they'll lose money on the house. If they sell it at the price they have it at, they're just paying fees and that's it. And now with the divorce or separation, whatever they're going through, it created an absolute hell for them. A house, it should be something that brings joy to you. You own it. Yes, there's responsibilities involved. Yes, you have to maintain it. But as long as you purchased it with the right budget in mind and with the right financial habits in mind, I should say, then it should bring you joy. If there's habits that aren't quite there yet, right? Like maybe you decide to not learn how to swim first before you build a really deep pool. Every time you jump in there, you're running risk. You're running that risk of something going wrong. As much as we love to just assume that things are going to go great and nothing's ever bad has never happened to us, my friends, it could happen to you. Just like I've warned in many videos before, and just like it's happened to these people, your house becomes a golden jail. You love the idea of owning the house, you're currently in it, but because of the financial strain, you literally can't do anything with your life. You can't even save money to get yourself out of the situation. You are in a golden jail with the housing market being your warden. And as scary as it is, you can avoid the situation by making the right decisions now. If you're in an area where you cannot safely afford a home, don't buy one. If you love where you live, focus on other investments. Focus on growing your stocks. Focus on growing your retirement. I'll repeat this again in every video. I don't care. I would rather have multiple 6-figure streams of investments that I can leave behind for my family than this massive debt-ridden house that I would leave if I died today. The bigger monster that you should fear is a potential future where you fall into the temptation of buying something that you can't afford, because it's going to come up. Temptation will strike. Even though things seem hopeless right now, you're going to be tempted with it. And if you don't have the right habits and you don't have the right situation, savings, you name it, it's going to be bad news. So what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with me? Leave a comment below so we can chat about it. And of course, if you don't know me, my name is Javy. I provide moments of insight and clarity like hopefully I provided in this video. If you want to learn more, hit subscribe. I also have some Patreon where I have a good home buying resources for you guys for $5 a month. There's also a great agent referral service, and of course my email and phone number are below as well. So reach out if you have any questions. I made a video a few months ago talking more like a timeline of what would happen if the housing market crashes. So if you're interested in something like that, go ahead and check it out. I appreciate y'all. Take care, okay?